All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and we are going to be in the 147-pound division in this video. Had a Hall of Fame induction took place this weekend with some of the greatest fighters to fight this century and the latter portion of last century. And they talked about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. And also, I don't care if you like this or not, there's now another rumor out there or word out there on the street that the fight, the decision for the fight will be announced by a certain date. So let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We are going to talk about the welterweight division and the biggest fight in boxing. Could be one of the biggest fights this century that everybody in the boxing world is talking about and wants to see. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford, or if you are a Terence Crawford fan, Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. Some new information has come out. Hopefully it may be right, may not be right. It is what it is, but we're going to share it with you. But before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for continuing to chop it up with me about boxing. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, which we do on a daily basis, both in the video form and in the live stream form, which we pretty much do every day, except for live stream. I didn't do one on Sunday, this last Sunday, because my son had a basketball event. So I did that. But other than that, man, we go pretty much all the time with this good old fashioned boxing banter. If you're from the UK, it's banter. Now let's get into this, man. First and foremost, word is out that, and again, this is not verified. The word is out that the fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. will be announced one way or the other by the 4th of July weekend. Hopefully that means we were going to get an announcement for the fight around that time. Not sure which way it's going to go. Clearly, there's a lot of word out there about the negotiation one way or the other. Now, Terence Crawford did come out, I think last weekend, and did his usual, which is shoot out a cryptic message saying, that nobody knows what they're talking about. So it's best just to let people that don't know what they're talking about, just talk, and that everybody's just making stuff up. My take on that real quick before I get into that is, look, man, Steven Espinoza is not making stuff up. I don't know what you're talking about, because if Steven Espinoza says money is the issue in this fight and people want Mayweather money and he's not going to pay it, I don't understand why people would not believe what Steven Espinoza has to say. Now, as far as the rest of what is out there, whether or not what he's asking for, where he wants to fight and all of that, that all may be out there and be incorrect about percentages, whether he took 55, 45, can't speak to that, because these are sources that are coming out of primarily people that would have connections with Terence Crawford's camp. The only people that I've heard saying, with Errol Spence Jr.'s camp, the only people that I've heard actually say anything related to Terence Crawford's camp blatantly contradicted what Steven Espinoza said. So I don't really know, how much credibility I'm going to give to that when Steven Espinoza and Errol Spence Jr. both said, yes, the negotiations have started. Steven Espinoza said, yes, the fight is more likely than it was. However, if somebody wants Mayweather money, then, that's not going to happen. And that's where we are, right? So out of Terence Crawford camp, he said nothing's happening with the fight. No talk about money, none of that. So, it's hard for me to say, look, man, why would Errol Spence Jr. lie? And why would Errol Spence Jr. lie? And why would Steven Espinoza lie? That just doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems to me like he's just brushing people off, maybe over some particular thing that came out. But regardless, whatever the case is, we will find out soon whether or not that fight is going to take place, and if it takes place, where it's going to be and all that good stuff. Hopefully we'll find that out soon. It really can't go too much longer, more than a couple more weeks, because Showtime is going to have to set their schedule for the rest of the year. And that's just a fact. That's how those type of things work. with big fights like that. Small fights, they can probably find a date, here or there, whatever, but, and just, or put them in on a particular card, right? Or do it in a small venue. When you're doing those, I think you can probably get those done more quickly. But if you're talking about something as big, as the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight, those guys are going to have to do that earlier, sooner than later, because there's a lot more, I assume that there's a lot more things necessary as far as setting a date with the venues to make sure a big venue is not taken up, that you're not going head to head with another big fight being made, right? All of those type of things would need to take place. Now, other interesting thing that took place this weekend is, man, I'm telling you, man, the International Boxing Hall of Fame loves them some Terence Crawford, man. And because if you recall, maybe about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Terence Crawford said something to the effect of, look, man, I don't need a Errol Spence Jr. fight to make my career. Errol needs me more than I need him, because I'm already in the Hall of Fame. Well, they had a Hall of Fame induction ceremony this weekend. And first of all, you swear that Terence Crawford was already in the Hall of Fame from the treatment that he got, sitting at the top table, getting his fist cast, having Floyd Mayweather give his speech and name him specifically as somebody that's going to be in the Hall of Fame, right? But also you had a bunch of Hall of Famers that were asked about the fight, and almost unanimously they picked Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence. You had Roy Jones Jr., who has said that before, Tarver, James Toney. I don't think anybody ever caught up to Floyd to ask Floyd for his prediction for the fight. But the only one that I know that was kind of like neutral on it is Andre Ward, who said, look, man, that's a 50-50 fight. Just call that like that is. That's going to be a tough fight either way it goes. But man, if you were listening to just Rick, ticking down off of the people that they thought that the actual cats inducted into the Hall of Fame think is going to win, man, it would be absolutely positively a landslide for Terence Crawford. But what they say, man, you got to actually get into the ring and prove that. However, that is definitely a vote of confidence for Terence Crawford, man, because you can't say these guys don't know their boxing. You know what I mean? However, I will say, and I'm sure people that are Terence Crawford, I would say this if they said it in front of Errol Spence Jr. as well. Hey, man, if professional boxers got every fight call right, even in big fights got every call right, man, I'm telling you, dude, these guys would be gazillionaires, right? And because that's not really how it works out, man. These guys, when you got it's going to be who the best guy is that night, and you may not necessarily you may look at a particular person's style and think that this guy can handle them. But man, on that given night, dude, you may get run up on by somebody that is just a little bit better than they think, man. And I could understand why people that have really, what did Roy Jones Jr. said? Roy's like full toolbox type of fighters, right? Where they can do, and you've seen them do everything in the ring, where they would prefer that type of style. And honestly, most 9 times out of 10, that is going to win. The one time though out of 10 that doesn't work, I'm telling you, is when you have a full toolbox pressure fighter and somebody that is going to push you and push you and push you and make you sit down and make you fight. And if you cannot figure him out and basically dominate him in that particular way, it gets tough, man. Pressures make pipe bust. That's kind of the story of Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali, right? If Muhammad Ali, can beat guys that big punch artists and all of that, got in there with Joe Frazier or somebody that is a tremendous pressure fighter, and it's a lot more difficult thing to do. But anyway, we'll see what happens. You let me know what you think in the comment section of the video. And again, if you're new, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon, because we're chopping up about boxing on a daily basis here. And with that, I'm out. Peace.